Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. In the name of Allah, the most beneficent and the most merciful. Dear students, Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to all of you in the virtual learning system of Pakistan International School, Thai. This is for grade 10th and we are studying biology. Today we will do inshallah last topic of chapter number 12, and that is about endocrine system. And these glands are adrenal glands, pancreas, gonads. Okay, let's start. In previous chapter we have studied about the pituitary gland, thyroid gland, and parathyroid glands. Today we will do adrenal glands. Today we will do adrenal glands. Now, what are the adrenal glands? These glands are, you can say, the glands of our endocrine system. The glands of our endocrine system, and these glands are two glands in pairs, and these are situated above kidney. Okay, how many glands? Adrenal glands are two glands, and these glands are situated above kidneys. When there are two kidneys on above on each kidney, there is a adrenal gland, and these adrenal glands consist again on two parts. These parts are called adrenal cortex and adrenal medulla. Okay, adrenal cortex and adrenal medulla. Now we are talking about just these glands. Okay, each gland consists of two parts. I told you before, adrenal glands are two glands where they are located above the kidney. But each adrenal gland consists of two parts, adrenal cortex and adrenal medulla. Now, what is adrenal cortex? The outer part of the adrenal gland is called adrenal cortex. So, what is the function of the adrenal cortex, or what it produces? Which produce many hormones. These hormones are called corticosteroids and also cortisol. And what is the function of these hormones? These hormones secreted by adrenal cortex regulate the salt and water balance in the body and prepare the body for stress, regulate metabolism, interact with the immune system, and induce sexual function. Okay, this is the outer part of the adrenal gland. Now, which one is the inner part of the adrenal gland? The inner part of the adrenal gland, it is called adrenal medulla. The inner part of the adrenal gland, it is called adrenal medulla, and adrenal medulla produces hormones, and these hormones are catecholamines such as epinephrine. And another name of the epinephrine also uh, is called adrenaline. Okay, epinephrine or adrenaline. Now, what is the function of epinephrine or adrenaline? Its function is increase the blood pressure and heart rate during times of stress. Is it clear? Now, look at structure of the adrenal gland. The adrenal gland, how it formed? It formed by outer cortex, which is yellow, forming the main mass of the gland, and inner medulla completely enclosed by the cortex, except at the hilum, and the gland enclosed by capsule of connective tissue. Okay, you can see here the structure of the adrenal glands. I told you adrenal gland, it consists of two parts. These are adrenal medulla and adrenal cortex. The outer part of the adrenal gland, it is called adrenal cortex. It is called adrenal cortex, and the inner part of the adrenal gland, it is called adrenal medulla. You can see in this picture. This is the adrenal gland. This whole is the adrenal gland, and you can see half section of the adrenal gland here, cut section of the adrenal gland. The outer part, it is called cortex. It is called cortex, and the inner part, it is called medulla. It is called medulla, and I told you about cortex and medulla. Adrenal medulla, it secretes hormone that is called adrenaline. And what is the function of the adrenaline? I told you But here is one example I want to tell you about this hormone, because we know that this hormone prepares our body for emergency situation. Okay, so this hormone is also called or also known as emergency hormone. Now, what happened when we have experienced fear, anger, or anxiety? Then what happened? How this hormone react? Then that time the rate and intensity of heartbeat increases. Okay, when we have fear, anger, then that time the rate and intensity of heartbeat increases, blood pressure increases also, and blood flow in the limb increases. But blood flow to the alimentary canal and skin is reduced. Why? This is due to the cortex, due to the adrenaline hormone, because this hormone is prepare our body in emergency situations, and these all are the emergency situations. And also I told you about adrenal cortex. Adrenal cortex, this one outer part, this is the adrenal cortex. It secretes hormones, and these are called corticosteroid hormones. And what is the function of this hormone? You can say homeostasis. It's balance in our body salt and in our blood salt and water. Is it clear? Now next gland is pancreas. Next gland is pancreas. All of you knows about pancreas. We know that pancreas is an organ of digestive system, but uh, this is also a gland. This is also a gland of our endocrine system. But we have studied about the endocrine system. Our endocrine system secretes hormones in the bloodstream. But what about the pancreas? We know that pancreas is a gland or organ of the digestive system, and this is a ducted gland. This is a ducted gland. It secretes its hormones in the ducts, but endocrine system don't have ducts. So what about the pancreas? We say that pancreas, you can say it has double nature, and you can say also it is dual gland of our body. Dual gland of our body, like your mobile have dual and two sims we can use. So like that, you can say pancreas have dual nature. You can say it is a dual gland of our body. Is it clear? How? Because it has two functions, and the major function of the pancreas is a ducted gland. Is a ducted gland. It secretes in the ducts. Okay, it secretes enzymes or hormones in the ducts into the small intestine, because this is a part of our digestive system. Is it clear? So this nature, it is called exocrine nature. It is called exocrine nature. So how it is endocrine in nature? How it is endocrine nature? This is about the major part, because I told you it has two main functions. Major function is exocrine, but some portion of the pancreas serves as ductless. Some portion of the pancreas serves as ductless, and this portion is called islets of Langerhans. And this portion is called islets of Langerhans. You can see in this picture. Okay, this is the portion. This portion is called islets of Langerhans. Okay, so look at this picture. The pancreas is a gland organ in the digestive and endocrine system. Its both endocrine organs produce several important hormones, including insulin, glucagon, and somatostatin, as well as an exocrine organ. But I told you its major function is exocrine, okay? And secretes pancreatic juice containing digestive enzymes that pass to the small intestine. These enzymes help in the further breakdown of the carbohydrates, fat, and protein. This one is about the exocrine nature, exocrine organ. And what about the endocrine? Some portion of the pancreas contains endocrine cells, and this portion is called islets of Langerhans. This portion is called islets of Langerhans. Now, what about the islets of Langerhans? You can see this is the picture of the islet of Langerhans. The islet of the Langerhans, it consists of three major types. It consists of three major types. First one is beta cell, alpha cell, and delta cell. Okay, alpha cell, beta cell, and this one you can see delta cell. Now, what about the beta cell? Beta cell, this portion of the islet of the Langerhans secrete insulin. This portion secretes or synthesize, you can say insulin. But how much portion of the islet of Langerhans? 60% of a whole this islet. Okay, 60% portion of the islet secreted insulin. Now, what about the alpha cell? Alpha cells also are the source of the glucagon secreted by the alpha cell of the islets of Langerhans of pancreas, because this is the part of the pancreas. Okay, and how much? How many percent? 30%. Now, what about the delta cell? This one is the delta cell. You can see this portion, this whole portion is called islet of Langerhans. And also you can see here, this is the pancreas. This whole is a pancreas, whole part is exocrine in nature, and this one is small, you can see here green point, okay, dot. This you can say this is a small portion of whole pancreas serves as a endocrine gland, and that is called islets of Langerhans. Is it clear? Now, what about the glucagon? I told you glucagon secreted by the alpha cells of the pancreas. And what is its chemistry? Glucagon is a polypeptide with a molecular weight of 3500, and how many amino acids? It has 29 amino acids. Okay. And from where it is secreted? It is secreted by the alpha cell of Langerhans, of islets of Langerhans of pancreas. Now, what is the function of the glucagon? Glucagon is a hormone that is secreted by the alpha cell of the islets of Langerhans, and its important function is increase the blood glucose concentration, and effect its effect is opposite to the insulin. Okay, so like insulin, glucagon is a large polypeptide, and I told you before it's composed of how many? 29 amino acids. And another name of the glucagon is hyperglycemic hormone. Another name of glucagon is hyperglycemic hormone. Why it is called hyper? Hyper mean more. Hyper mean more. And we know that what is the function of the glucagon? Its function is increase the blood glucose concentration in our blood. Increase the blood glucose concentration in our blood. That's why we say we call it hyperglycemic hormone. Now, second is insulin. Second is insulin. I told you before, insulin, it is secreted by the beta cells of uh, islets of Langerhans of pancreas. Is it clear? And its what is its function? It is responsible for metabolism and storage of carbohydrates. Okay, and it is in the diabetic population, the mechanism of insulin production is impaired because of genetic peptidopositions. Okay. Now, what is the function of the? You can say this is the structure of insulin. This one, it is secreted by the beta cell of islets of Langerhans, and it is responsible for the metabolism and storage of carbohydrates. Now you can see functions of insulin. What is the function of insulin? Insulin helps muscles, fat, and liver also absorb glucose from bloodstream. I told you what is the function of the glucagon. Glucagon increase the blood glucose concentration in our blood. Now, what is function of the insulin? Insulin, its function is opposite to the glucagon. It absorbs glucose from the bloodstream and lowering blood glucose levels. Number two, insulin stimulates the liver and muscle tissues to store excess glucose, and the stored form of glucose is called glycogen. Okay, the stored form of glucose is called glycogen. Means first, insulin convert glucose into glycogen, then store this form of glucose, mean glycogen, into the on liver and muscle tissue. Is it clear? And insulin also lowers blood glucose levels by reducing glucose production in the liver, and it also inhibits glycogenolysis and ketogenesis. Okay, and ketogenesis. This is the function of the insulin. Now you have mostly listened about the diabetes mellitus. What is a diabetes mellitus? If a person's pancreas doesn't make normal quantity of insulin, the blood glucose concentration rises. I told you which one? Glucose. Glucose increase the blood glucose. Sorry, glucagon increase the blood glucose concentration in our blood. And if in our body there is more glucagon but less um, insulin, then what happens? As a result, person has diabetic patient, and that disorder is called diabetes mellitus. That disorder is called diabetes mellitus. So what is a diabetes mellitus? It is a group of metabolic diseases characterized by elevated level of glucose in blood. Elevated level means increased level of a higher levels of glucose in the blood, and this is by the glucagon. This is by the more secretion of the glucagon. And it is also called hypoglycemia. It is also called hyper, not hypo, sorry, hyper. Hyper means more. Hyperglycemia. Okay, in sugar patients. And diabetes mellitus results from why defects in insulin secretion, insulin action, or both of them. In our body, there is secretion of, sorry, in our pancreas, secretion of insulin is less. Then as a result, what happens? We have in our blood there is more blood sugar concentration, and as a result, we have diabetic patient. We have this disease. Okay, and this disease or diabetes mellitus we can control by administration of insulin. Okay, we will take more insulin, then we can control this disease. And how we can check this disease? By number one is blood glucose test. How we take this test? A blood glucose test measures the amount of a type of sugar called glucose in your body. And glucose comes from carbohydrates, protein, and lipids, and it is the main source of energy used by the body. And insulin is a hormone that helps your body cells use the glucose. Insulin is produced in the pancreas and released into the blood when the amount of glucose in the blood rises. Is it clear? A normal or body glucose level increase slightly eating after we eat something. This increase causes your pancreas to release insulin so that your blood glucose levels don't get too high. And blood glucose levels that remain high over time can damage our eyes, kidneys, nerves, and also blood vessels. Okay? When we eat something after eating, what happens? Blood glucose level increased in our blood, and as a result, secretion of insulin released. Okay, so we can check during fasting time. In fasting blood sugar test, how we can check, and what is this? It measures blood glucose after you have not eaten for at least 8 hours. Normally, when we should check, we check after 8 hours fasting. Okay, and it is often the first test done to check for pre-diabetic and diabetes. And in your book, there is given this table during fasting. When you will check after 8 to 10 hours, then your BGC means blood glucose test that are from 70 to 99 in first place, and that is normal. Because we know that our normal blood glucose concentration or normal blood rate should be 80 to 120 mg per 100 ml. Okay, in 100 ml, per 100 ml of blood should be 80 to 120 mg blood glucose concentration. Okay, so first test is normal. And another time, second time, if you are in per 100 ml blood, there is concentration of glucose is 100 to 120 mg. Then that time you have pre-diabetic. Pre-diabetic means now you have some symptoms. Okay, and third measuring in third time when our blood glucose level is 126 mg per 100 ml or above than 120, then that time you are diabetic. Okay, so for a fasting blood sugar test, don't eat or drink anything other than water for at least 8 hours before the blood sample is taken. And if you have diabetes, you may be asked to wait until you have had your blood tested before taking your morning dose of insulin or diabetes medicine. You may have a random blood sugar test instead, which will not require an 8-hour fast. Okay, this is about the fasting test. Okay, now this is the last gland of our endocrine system that is called gonads. That is called gonads. Now, what are the gonads? Gonads are the organs of male and female reproductive. These are the male and female reproductive organs. Okay, the male reproductive organs called testes and the female reproductive organs are called ovaries, and these are called gonads. Okay, now gonads of the male. If we are talking about male, then gonads. What are the gonads of the male? These are testes. Okay, these are testes, and testes produce sperm cells. Then these sperm cells produce testosterone, secretes hormone. That hormone is called testosterone. Okay, and female gonads is ovary. Female gonads is ovary, and ovaries produce egg, or you can say egg cell, and that egg cell secretes hormones. These hormones are estrogen and progesterone. Okay, estrogen and progesterone are hormones of female, and testosterone hormones of male. Now look at this picture. The gonad is the organ that makes gametes. The gonads in males are the testes, and the gonads in females are the ovaries. The product gametes are haploid germ cells. For example, spermatozoa and egg cells are gametes. Is it clear? You can see here the gonads of female, which is called ovary, this one, and this is the male reproductive organ, it is called testis. It is called testis. Okay. Now, what about the hormones secreted by the male reproductive organ? This hormone is testosterone. This hormone is testosterone. Now, how these hormones are secreted? We have studied about the pituitary gland, and also we told you that pituitary gland has two lobes, posterior lobe and the anterior lobe. Okay, so anterior lobe of the pituitary gland will secrete the hormone that is called trophic hormone, and that trophic hormone will stimulate the gonads. That trophic hormone, which hormone? Trophic hormone sending are secreted by the anterior lobe of the pituitary gland. That hormones secrete or stimulate the gonads of male gonads. That gonads is um, testis, and testis secretes that time testosterone. Is it clear? Testosterone. Now, what is the function of the testosterone? Testosterone, it is responsible for the development of secondary sex characters. Secondary sex characters are male, and these secondary sex characters are developed after puberty. After puberty, and these characters are like you can say with the passage of time, this testosterone hormone decreases. When hormone is low, what is the function of the testosterone? Testosterone hormones decreases the hair growth on overhead. Mostly you have experienced or you have seen baldness in males, not in females. Why they have like this baldness? Because with the passage of time, testosterone decreases the hair growth on the head of the male. But this testosterone hormone increases the hair growth, or you can say increases the growth of hair on whole body of the male. Is it clear? This is the function of the testosterone. And we talk here about secondary characters, but you should know about the primary characters. Primary characters, these are the naturally developed. These are naturally developed in babies, and these are the like of gonads, male or female. Either baby is a male or either is a baby is a female. These are the primary characters. But what about the secondary characters? Secondary characters developed after puberty. Okay, and then why these characters developed after puberty? Because in small babies, these gonads are not active, and when these gonads are not active, then these gonads cannot produce hormones. So these hormones produced after puberty, and its function is, I mean, these are responsible for the secondary sex characters of male. Now, what about the female hormones? I told you female gonad is ovary, and these ovaries produce egg, and hormones of the female are called estrogen and progesterone. Estrogen and progesterone. Now, what about the estrogen? This is a female hormone. It is responsible for the development of secondary sex characteristics and growth of uterus during puberty, initial growth of the endometrium during menstrual cycle. Now, what about the progesterone? It is responsible for the development of breasts during puberty, growth of endometrium during menstrual cycle, and inhibition of uterine contraction during pregnancy. Is it clear? So, how many ovaries? Ovaries. There are two ovaries in female, and these are in the abdominal region of the body. Okay, and its function is, I told you before, it is the production of the egg. Now, how egg are produced? So we need some stimulation, and for the production of the eggs from the ovaries, ovary needs stimulation. And from where this stimulation comes? This stimulation comes from the anterior lobe of the pituitary gland. I told you before, anterior lobe of the pituitary gland send the message to the trophic hormone, secret you can say trophic hormone. That trophic hormone stimulate over gonads, and then by the stimulation of the trophic hormone or gonad secretes hormone, and these hormones are estrogen and progesterone. Is it clear? When these hormones are produced from the female gonads, that is called ovaries. And function, what is the function of these hormones? These hormones will help in the production of egg, and as well as help in the development of secondary sex characters in females. These secondary characters are development of breast, and also progesterone and estrogen increase the growth of hairs on the head and decrease the growth of hairs on the body. I told you before, male hormone and female hormone have opposite functions. So female hormone increase the growth rate, or increase the growth, hair growth on our head, in female's head, and decrease growth hair on the female body. Is it clear? These are the secondary characters, and these characters controlled by the estrogen and progesterone. And what about the primary characters? Primary sex characters are naturally developed like male and female. Okay. Now, last topic is feedback mechanism. Last topic is feedback mechanism. Now, what is a feedback mechanism? First of all, we should know about the feedback mechanism. Feedback mechanism means the regulation of a process by the output of the same process. How you can define it? Feedback mechanism means the regulation of a process by the output of the same process. Okay. And over endocrine glands, we know that over endocrine glands don't secretion all the time. Okay, all the time over endocrine glands do not secrete hormones. So this secretion varies with the needs of our body. Okay, these secretions are varies with the needs of our body, and secretions of the hormones from the endocrine glands are regulated by feedback mechanism. How this secretion regulated of the hormones, or you can say from the endocrine glands, these secretions are regulated by the feedback mechanism. That's why we say that feedback mechanism means the regulation of a process by the output of the same process. Okay. Now, how many types of feedback mechanism? There are two types of feedback mechanism. Number one is negative feedback, and number two is positive feedback. Okay. Now, what happened in the negative feedback? In the negative feedback, the process of the output decreases, and the rate of process is called negative feedback. Means result. Output means the result of the process. There is a chemical reaction, or there is any reaction in our body, and output of that reaction decreases. So this is called negative feedback. Listen again. The process of the output decrease the rate of process. Okay, it is called negative feedback, and you can understand it by example. For example, in our body, the level of glucose increase, then pancreas secretes insulin. And what is the function of the insulin? Insulin, it decreases the blood glucose concentration by converting glucose into glycogen. I told you before, insulin stores glucose in form of glycogen in the liver and also muscle, in the muscle tissues. Okay. So how it can decrease, this reaction is decreased in our blood. There is more amount or more level of blood sugar, so it can control by the secretion of insulin. So insulin decrease the blood glucose concentration in our blood by converting glucose into glycogen. Okay, and that glycogen stores in the liver and also in muscle tissues. Is it clear? Now, what about the positive feedback? What about the positive feedback? Mean at the end of the reaction or output after this reaction, increase in the rate of process. Increase in the rate of output, we will say output of this reaction increase in the rate of the process. You have studied about the oxytocin hormone. Oxytocin hormone of the thyroid gland. And what is the function of the oxytocin hormone that secretes? It can increase the ejection of milk. So here is you can understand this positive feedback by with the help of one example. For example, suckling action of infants. Suckling action of infants. And this suckling action of infants stimulate the production of hormone in mother. That hormone is called oxytocin. That hormone is called oxytocin, and this hormone works for the production of milk. If there is more suckling, that more suckling increase the production of hormone, will increase the production of oxytocin, and that oxytocin hormone leads to more milk production. Okay, so activation in so the production of milk increase with the help of oxytocin, and it is called positive feedback. And one another example of positive feedback is activation of the platelets. Okay, also an example of the positive feedback mechanism. Is it clear? This is about whole about the endocrine system, and today is last topic of our lesson. So next, inshallah, we will start new topic. Okay, students, have a nice day. Take care. Allah Hafiz.